Have you ever thought that you have a power source inside you that you haven't fully woken up yet? Ever think about how you could make your greatest dreams come true by turning your thoughts and wishes into reality? If the answer is yes, you are about to start an exciting journey to learn more about yourself and reach a huge potential you may not have known existed before. Imagine being able to consciously direct and control your feelings and thoughts to make the life you've always wanted. This journey will help you find a strange energy center inside you that you haven't paid much attention to for a long time, but that can completely change your future. Get ready to step into a world where anything is possible and your dreams and goals become real. You will find ideas and methods on this path to self-knowledge and personal strength that have moved people for generations. This isn't your typical work, but it's timeless and important because it looks at the depths of the mind and how it can change the world around it. We invite you to join us on this trip of self-discovery and change if you are ready to question what you believe, broaden your mind, and tap into the amazing power that lies within you. I Am the Son of God, Chapter 1 of How to Awaken the Solar Plexus by Elizabeth Town. Do you want to live a peaceful, useful, and happy life more than anything else? You can leave the small limits of normalcy, pain, sin, and sickness, and the small hurts of daily life if you want to. Want to really get away from them? Are you ready to work for your own safety? Or would you rather just sit there and complain about everything and everyone? Do you want to be healthy, wealthy, happy, and useful in more ways? You should work hard if you want to be a great singer, artist, or teacher. Are you ready to do that every day? Or do you just slightly wish that someone would carry you over flower beds of ease to a heaven of happiness? Are you determined to be healthier, happier, and wealthier, and to help more people? You will get them no matter how much it costs or how long it takes. That's for sure. You couldn't fail even if you tried. I will be with you the whole time. I'm already there, though. Also, I want to tell you something that really helped me get there. The sun. This person calls the sun God. It wouldn't surprise me if he's right, but I'm not sure. But the sun helped me see who I really was. Wisdom, love, strength, and calm happiness. You can find your great self just like I did. Just make up your mind to do it. Your time has been mostly spent watching other people, which is why you haven't found it yet. You have been rude to yourself, put every other person, including Tom, Dick, and Harry, before yourself, and called yourself many names. That's why you went back into your shell and closed the hole. That's why you think it doesn't know much. But it does, and if you're even slightly nice to it, it will do anything for you. Take care of yourself and be kind to yourself. Tell him that you still like him and that he's your best friend. Don't be afraid to ask him for help. Do what he says. A lot of people will do anything for you because they want to be noticed. He'll do it better than anyone else. It helped me get to know myself better, and it will help you too. Have you ever thought about how much the sun and the sun are alike? Jesus had to be the Son of God. I looked at that son's life for years and tried to be like him, but I wasn't very successful. My mind suddenly told me one day that I am the Son of God. For me, that was a wonderful thought that overtook me and changed me completely by renewing my mind. That's a cool thing about thoughts. If you give them a place to stay, they will build you a brand new house that they didn't even touch. I Am God's Sunshine totally changed me in a short amount of time. I'll tell you about some of the ways he changed me. I used to be very sensitive. In fact, I didn't know what I was thinking more than half of the time, and getting hurt always hurt me. I tried very hard to control my feelings and keep them from hurting me, but success didn't come from my hard work or even my high standards. I was too proud to show it. Finally, I got sick of being pampered, so I told them they could keep hurting me until they were tired and gave up. I would not be paying attention to them after that. They gave up because they were tired. The sun made me feel better and warmed my heart. I told myself, this is the way. In that case, my only purpose in life would be to shine and send out good thoughts, like the sun of good. I was making a big mistake right there, as you can see. I always wanted to be a moon instead of a sun. The moon is cold, dark, empty, open, and only gives off light in the distance. I had been receiving everything from other people, including their thoughts, feelings, and even their hurtful words. As if that weren't enough, I begged God every day to give me the Holy Spirit. On top of the 10 other favors I begged from Him and other people. But the truth is that I was really a son, God's son, made to send, not receive. I had life in me, just like the Father does. After being hurt, all I had to do to stop being so sensitive was remind myself that I am a sun meant to shine, not a moon meant to take hurt from the outside world. Every person is like a sun of goodness, meant to shine. It will not take long for you to get your feelings under control if you focus on putting out goodwill like the sun shines. What if the sun shut down and stopped giving out light every time someone on earth complained about it? That's what he would do if he was sensitive like most people. The sun is too smart for that, though. He's too busy shining to make time for that. He is so focused on doing his best that he shines so brightly that it makes both good people and bad people happy. Good people appreciate his light, and bad people only complain. He is so happy that he thanks the old sun for never making him complain. Its light meets the grumble and changes it before it even gets close to it. The mean things people say to us hurt because we forget to shine. We have an inner sun, a real solar center in us called the solar plexus, or sun. You can find this big nerve area in the back of your stomach. All of the body's nerves spread from this center sun when it is in its normal state. It gives off real energy all the time, just like the sun does. There is a real cloud or atmosphere inside the body all the time that this energy is thrown into. It moves through the body's nerve paths and roads to the surface, where it hits the mucous membranes and skin. If this radiation from the solar plexus is strong enough, then another person's impact can't change its steady and peaceful rhythms. Someone who is strongly positive radiates a lot of power for the good of those who are less positively radiant than themselves. He just being there, without saying a word or even having a clear thought, calms the thoughts of those he comes in touch with. For people who haven't learned the law of being yet, the solar plexus is narrow, which stops the steady flow of life or nerve air to every part of the body. Every disease in people comes from this one cause, whether it's mental, physical, or environmental. Feelings are caused by what this solar center does or doesn't do. Good feelings come from free action, and bad feelings come from action. The flow of nerve ether, or life force, makes you feel good. By stopping the steady flow, unpleasant feelings are caused. Every person has a solar plexus that constantly sends out life, love, and goodness, unless that person stops the radiation by closing the solar plexus, which weakens or stops the flow completely, like when someone dies. Nerves collapsing over and over again is called a chronic nervous collapse. Nerves actually collapse like a soft tube from which fluid is taken. Nerves carry life to all parts of the body. If you squeeze the solar plexus, it will take life away from the body. There is life in the solar plexus. This is where the uncreated becomes made, the disorganized becomes organized, the unconscious becomes aware, the unseen becomes visible, and the measurable becomes measured. This person's solar center can create as much life as they want, and they can do it at any speed they want. But this all-powerful solar center is just a dumb energy source. It's very strong, but it's not smart in any meaningful way. The solar plexus works for the brain. It doesn't create any other life than what the brain of God tells it to. As you go up, the brain controls every minute tightening and growth of the solar center of life. The solar plexus responds right away to even the smallest CO brain whim. And I understood why and how you will be awarded based on the things you do in the flesh. For every careless word you will give an account. I will surely reap in the body what I have sown in the mind. You are now getting back what you put into your thoughts. Your body's life comes from the sun center, which is your conscious thought. The quality of your body, including your brain, affects the quality of your surroundings. You decide your own fate. You are your own lord and boss. Now you understand why someone who is sensitive keeps hurting themselves. Every thought that goes through the mind. When we think thoughts that make us feel good, the heart opens up and sends out joy or love. It shrinks every time you think of something bad, cutting off the flow of love, happiness, and life from your body, brain, and surroundings. The solar plexus gets bigger when you don't fight thought, but it gets smaller when you do. Now you see what a smart scientist Jesus was. And I tell you, don't fight evil. Men want you to go 1 mile with them, so go 2 miles with them. Send him your love, and by the time you finish your 2nd mile, his solar plexus will be quivering with yours. This will make you both smarter and more loving for your trip. But that will rest on how you respond to his request or order. You can go protesting, saying that you are good and he is wrong, and he will beat you. In this case, you will have followed the letter of Jesus' word, but not the spirit of it. You can also put on a martyr's air, which is a very thin covering, and go with him because it's your duty to do a lot of bad things you'd rather not do. This is the air that many women put on when they go a mile, or even 2 or 3 miles, with their eyebrows raised and their lips pursed, with prunes and prisms and a very loud humility of manner. This makes the thoughtless husband or children take their time. For a while they feel like they've done the unforgivable sin and rush to beg forgiveness, but over time they become hard, and this is worse than the first state. It's not really what is done, but how it is done. Every thought that goes through our minds before we understand and take charge of ourselves makes the solar center of being bigger or smaller. We need to learn how to control the solar plexus in the same way that we learn how to control our fingers when we play the piano. If someone really wants to, they can learn to play the piano or be more self-controlled with some practice and careful thought. But until then, it's best to leave them alone. For as long as a man wants his solar plexus to float around like a weathercock on a windy day, taking in all the stupid, kind, or mean things his friend might say, he should let it. You'll get tired of it eventually, and he'll start to take care of himself and his feelings. He can't have anyone do it for him. It takes practice to get better, so the person who practices with faith for longer will get more done in less time. People who do concentration exercises for an hour a day, but then live their lives on the old plane of anger and resistance, will not make nearly as much progress as people who do the exercises for little or no time, but try to put their goodwill into everything they do and think, 7 days a week. No matter how big or small an event is, it is all a way to improve your focus. You don't need specific hours to grow any more than a cat does to have 2 tails. If you put your mind and spirit into something, you should always put it back when you see it going down the runway. Make up your mind to keep your solar center open and your light shining no matter what. You can't do it. The first time you try, just like you can't play the piano by starting to play. Your hands will get out of place and your fingers will keep being thumbs. But if your mind is determined, you will keep at it until you teach your hands to hold their correct positions and your fingers to play the keys delicately and honestly with hardly a conscious thought. The solar plexus is the same way. With practice, you can teach your solar center to spread kindness no matter what is going on around you or inside you, or how busy your mind is with other things. I'm in heaven, and the door is wide open with the words, "Welcome," written on it. Let your love shine, Son, so that people can see the good things you've done. I am your God, so praise him. What is heaven? Chapter 3. Why and how the solar plexus, also called the solar center, is to the body what the sun is to the solar system. It gives life and light to everything. It is the company that makes life and light. The sun makes light and heat. It breathes in spirit, which is beyond light and heat, and breathes out light and heat, which are intelligent will. Light and heat are taken in by the solar plexus and let out as magnetism, which is a different kind of intelligent will that is smarter and stronger because of it. The solar plexus would have nothing to breathe if the sun stopped breathing. Life would stop showing up. There would not be enough light and heat if the sun occasionally breathed and only filled itself halfway. The lack of light and heat can be seen in plants or in people who are locked up in prisons. People usually think that they only breathe through their lungs, but the truth is that they breathe through every cell in their body. Every hole, inside and out, is a way for sunshine and heat to get to the body's great laboratory. As sunshine and heat are turned into electricity in the solar plexus, it is the center of breathing in the body. All illnesses in the body and brain happen because the solar rays are blocked before they can reach the solar plexus. People who regularly and deeply breathe can't be sick or mentally weak. The only thing that stops the breath from reaching the solar center is the mind's ability to close the pores and rob the body and brain of life and light. Being stooped over will close many of the pulmonary pores, and wearing tight clothes will close other pores as well. Find one fear and watch how it makes you shrink, wrinkle, and tighten. Notice how your hands and toes curl up. By watching how you breathe out and hold your breath, you can get a sense of how fear keeps you from being yourself. People tend to hunch over and shrink because they are taught to fear the past, the present, and the future, as well as their enemies and friends. They are also taught to fear what is outside and what is inside, as well as God. It's no surprise that fear is a habit for most people. For hundreds of years, people have worked hard to make people afraid. Now, the only problem is getting rid of those fears. The brave doesn't need to be told to breathe freely. He does it without thinking about it. As a result, his body is big and strong. Each person's only goal is to be able to breathe, take in intelligent will, hold on to it until it has rejuvenated every cell and imbued him with the essence of his being, and then exhale as even more intelligent will to carry out his plans. Man breathes intelligent will. He concentrates it within himself and sends it out in a new and stronger form. The person who breathes correctly takes on the sun's knowledge and will. The more intelligent will a person has, the freer his breathing is. He who breathes freely acts freely. He who breathes deeply thinks deeply. Fear is the only thing that stops you from thinking freely, and limited thinking is the only thing that stops you from breathing freely. If you get rid of your fear, you won't need to be taught how to breathe easily. All thought is action, but we aren't yet trained to see the more subtle moves of thought. That's why we say that thought sometimes leads to action, even though we know that all thought is movement and all movement is thought. Some thinkers say that breathing exercises are important for keeping your mind and body in balance, while others say that you only need to think and that the exercises will come later. Both groups are right, because breathing is thinking and thinking is breathing. A person cannot breathe without thinking any more than they can think without breathing. As soon as the flow of breath stops, there is no movement. No movement is annihilation. Any kind of exercise, whether it's breathing or another kind, is an exercise of thought. An exercise that is well done is one that has all the thought that it can hold. An exercise that is only half done is one that is done without desire or intelligence. The first kind of thinking is right thinking, and the second kind is careless thinking, not quite done. We used to know how to breathe somewhere in the animal world. That was before we learned to be afraid of God and other people, as well as ourselves. When we were afraid, we started to think in half breaths. Mankind as a whole breathes only half as much as they should. The female side, on the other hand, breathes only a quarter as much because it has been taught to fear more things than men do, and because women are naturally better at learning. Women have learned to shrink and bow, but that's not enough for them. They've also tied their feet and hands together and put themselves in straitjackets, which is the ugliest way to deprive the solar plexus of any resemblance of a radiant center and cut off the breath of life. This whole habit can only be broken by forming new ones, like new ways of breathing and thinking. Remember that breathing and thinking are the same thing. That's why I tell you, men and women alike, but especially women, to keep breathing until you make it a habit to breathe fully and freely. If you've been trying to live in the free world but haven't been making much progress, all you need to do is work and breathe. That will help you more than anything else. This way of thought, which we call breathing, is what sets us free from fear. People who are weak, sick, or shy don't breathe. People with asthma, constipation, or nerves need to breathe a lot to get better, but they don't. If they can get rid of their breathing problem, they lock themselves in hot, stuffy rooms and gasp, gurgle, and lament their fate because they have been trying for years, or even generations, to live without it. This is how they usually think. Well, there is a new way to be saved. Practice breathing with half as much care as you used to practice not breathing, and you will find the salvation that is inside you. I will tell you how to begin and how to keep on doing it, and if you practice it faithfully for a month, you will be thoroughly convinced. And if you keep at it until you have made complete breathing a habit of thought, you will be a new creature. Sadness and melancholy, fears and struggles will have ceased forever. Energy, ambition, power, joy will have grown in their place. Your shrunken, hunched body will have straightened. You will stand with an extra curve in your lower back instead of with a curve in your shoulders like you had when you were a monkey. You will walk with a spring in the ball of your foot instead of coming down on your heels or shuffling your feet anyhow. Your eyes will be bright and steady and ready to look kindly into any other pair of eyes. Your mouth will be straight instead of having them drooping furrows as in the old wailing days, and your lips will be soft and sweet to kiss. Your skin will be cool and clear, and your voice will sound like bells over still waters instead of being choked in your throat and tinged with groans or grunts as of old. There you have it. You will be a new person, born again of the Spirit, ready to live, love, and work out. First, make sure that your bedroom has a lot of wide-open windows, not just a few that open up and down. If you need to, use a mosquito net to keep drafts out. Open everything up when you wake up. Put your arms spread and lie on your back. Don't use a pillow. Better yet, don't use anything at all. Relax your whole body, close your mouth, and take slow, deep breaths in silence, making sure that your lungs are full all the way to the bottom. Hold your breath for as long as you can without straining. Then, try to find a way to slowly and gently let out the air. Pay close attention to this and make sure you can slowly and evenly let out your breath. Do it again, and if you need to, take a break to catch your breath. This will happen if you are not used to breathing deeply. Do this 5 to 7 times. Take a few seconds to breathe in, 8 seconds to hold, and as many seconds as you can to breathe out. At first, you might not be able to hold your breath that long. Don't strain. Be gentle, easy, and steady. The first thing you should do is practice. This will help you breathe longer. At first, I could only breathe in for 2 seconds, hold for 3, and then breathe out for 3 or 4 seconds. My heart was racing like I was working really hard. After 3 months, I was finally able to do 5 breaths in a row, like I'm telling you now. I want to tell you that practicing for 3 months helped me speak every time. When I sang, I had trouble getting enough air. Voice lessons for 4 years didn't help me much. During the first 3 months I did this breathing technique, I ran out of piano music and never sang a word. Then they brought one home, which made me sing again. I sang like I had never sung before, even though I hadn't practiced at all for 3 or 4 months. I had never had so much fun singing. For some reason, I felt like I could sing any line or 2 or 3 with plenty of air, and a freedom I had never felt before. I haven't had the old problem since then. I'm sure that singers can benefit a lot from doing organized breathing routines without singing. You should do this exercise 2 or 3 times a day in the same position and with your clothes loose if you are smart or thin enough not to wear a corset. And do it again when you go to sleep at night. Then tell yourself to drift off to sleep, breathe deeply, and wake up feeling revived at your normal time. Yes, you wear corsets, even though there are doctors and artists all over the land. Even if you don't have to, do the breathing movements while standing up and looking out a window or outside if you can. Get a new corset with a straight front. Take it out a bit further than the old one. Pull it down in front and stand up after putting it on so that the bustle is behind where it should be. Lift your head and throw your shoulders back to make yourself look like a sweet and beautiful queen. Take a deep breath and look up at the sky and all that is good. Take slow, quiet breaths of love, power, brightness, and life. Let it thrill you, fill your solar plexus with joy, and go through every part of your being. Let it change you and change it. Then close your eyes, bless yourself with your hands, and slowly, quietly let out your breath. Many blessings to everyone. If you're a man, don't think about the straight corset. Just stand with your chest out and your stomach in and take big, deep breaths of fresh air. Let them make you feel good in every way, body and mind. Then breathe out blessings for the world. Do each exercise while taking 2 or 3 breaths. Do each exercise several times a day while standing if you like, and remember to breathe more at night and in the morning. If you want to reach a certain goal, keep that goal in mind while you do these routines. When you breathe in, you are negative and open. You are ready as you hold your breath. When you let out a breath, you feel good and bright, and you bring life to your area, to those who are less developed than you, to your surroundings in general, to your business, to whatever you're interested in. Then let out a sigh, reach out your hands, and bring anything you want to life. This practice can help you get friends, a nice place to live, money, caring thoughts, knowledge, or anything else you want. It doesn't matter to me if you believe in it or not. You will see that what I say is true if you do it. I feel things in my solar plexus. Anger, resentment, resistance, sadness, disappointment, and fear will seem as strange to you as the awkward moves you made when you were learning to walk or eat. This is because you will have gained so much control over your solar plexus through proper breathing exercises. All of these bad feelings are caused by cramps in the solar plexus. What I just told you to do will make you feel good and free up your plexus. Practice will turn feeling good into a habit, which is another word for feeling free. Until you can make it a habit to feel good, you will have depressed times like you have been having so far. Over time, these times will become less intense and easier to pass through. No matter what is making you feel sad, you should stop the pattern as soon as possible. To do it, take off your clothes if you can, or open them up if you can't. Lay on your back without a pillow and with your arms open. Separate your mind from everything else. Take a slow, full breath in through your nose, hold it there for a second or 2, and then force it into the upper part of your lungs and hold it there for another second or 2. Finally, throw the whole breath as far down as you can while mentally telling your solar plexus, "Wake up." Hold the breath down for 1 or 2 seconds, then slowly let it flow back up until the lungs are full again. For a moment, hold your breath. Then, try to let it out as slowly and gently as possible. Do this activity no more than 3 times, and only when you are feeling down. Then get up and move around like you have a plan to get somewhere. Pay attention to what you need to do. What makes you feel so calm and at ease will cross your mind the next time you think about your sadness. This is something I've learned and have been using for years to help with all kinds of sadness caused by all kinds of things. It has never failed to completely change how I feel. It is sure to help anyone who does it voluntarily. These steps look hard at first, but after a few tries and reading them again and again, they will almost make themselves, because they will seem so simple and enjoyable to you. It's okay if your heart beats a little when you start trying to breathe. The same thing would happen after any new, hard exercise. Stay still and keep going. Soon, your heart will be filled with happiness and stay as calm as a summer morning. There is no limit to how hard you can push your breath up and down. If you do it right, this exercise will help or cure functional heart disease, as well as lung and throat diseases. In fact, this method can cure almost any illness in the body as long as it is done every day or more often for a long enough time. It's important to remember that the brightness of your solar center is like the sun's brightness for plants and planets. These exercises teach your solar center how to shine. The 4th chapter is about breathing. There are thousands of breaths. If you breathe, you can do thousands of breaths without getting any better, because you're making a weak muscle do the work of a strong muscle. There are people here who might not know that they have the cleanest trapdoor they've ever seen in their throat. You could be missing it. You may not have known what it was called, but I promise you that leaving this little trapdoor open at the wrong time has made you feel bad more than once. And because you closed it at the wrong times, you probably missed out on a lot of good feelings. This small hole works so well that you hardly notice it's there. Its only job is to keep things heavier than ozone from getting into the airway that goes to the lungs. But the epiglottis is a very smart and loyal little worker. Some artists have taught it to flap up and down very quickly, which helps them make tones that are very choppy. Then I met people who badly hurt this weak little human being, which is designed for quick, light moves and not for long chords. Surprisingly, the people who abuse it the most are those who follow the new thought and love. Naturally, that's not their goal. New thinkers have come up with the idea that holding your breath for a long time is very beneficial. So, they take a deep breath in, close that poor trapdoor, and hold it shut until they turn red and their hearts beat very fast. Then they let out a pitter-pat. Have you recently been shopping in a department store and heard a horrible nasal wail while looking at a sign that said, "Don't laugh, the pigs are dying"? And then you saw the pigs, which were mumbling and full of air. The pig is stuffed to the brim, and the skin it is made of is stretched to its limits. Press it harder and harder between your 2 hands. Wherever there is a weak spot, it will break, or the plug could fly off. Regardless, it will make your skin stretch and will need more air to get back to normal. That's how stopping your breath in the wrong way hurts your lungs. The epiglottis is cut out and all the lung cells are stretched. Then, the chest and abdominal muscles will naturally push the air out right away if they haven't been taught to do so. These muscles tighten around the lungs in the same way that fingers tighten around a pig's skin. This puts a lot of stress on the lung tissue, the air path, and the small trapdoor. This stress also makes it hard for blood to flow, which affects the heart. There is also bleeding if there is a weak spot in the lungs. What's worse is that normal breathing movements make the lung tissue weak and flabby. Livers should never have to hold air, not even for a second. The lungs are like balloons that fill up as the walls of the muscles get bigger. The chest walls don't get bigger when air is forced in. When you stretch your chest and abdominal muscles, you bring air into your body without making the pressure inside go up above what it is on the outside. This makes it possible for air and blood to flow freely and oxygenate everything perfectly. To breathe, you don't need to train your lungs. They get as much air as their muscles will let them and stay open and free for as long as their muscles will let them. The right way to stretch is the right way to breathe. The trapdoor should be open from the start to the end of breathing exercises. Don't worry about the breath when you practice it. Just pay attention to how far and evenly your chest and straight AB muscles can spread out, how long you can keep them still without putting any pressure on the epiglottis, and how slowly, evenly, and smoothly you can tighten them up again. Do what you need to do and put your will in your muscles. Pay attention to them and you'll learn how to breathe right. Nose breathing is the only way to go. Make an effort. If you have to huff and puff after taking a long breath, you have taken too long between the inhale, hold, and release parts of that breath. This closes the trapdoor. Perform the action once more. Take a deep breath and do it on purpose. Do you know that the difference between a man and an idiot is having a goal and not having one? The manliest person, man or woman, is the one who has the most important, deep, and stable goal in life. The fool takes short, irregular breaths that never fully fill or empty his lungs. These small, irregular breaths help to build the 1,001 small, irregular thoughts that make up his stated self. Aimless breathing exercises are as stupid as any other pointless activity. Point the force of your breath in any direction you want and make sure you aim high and steady. Nothing can stop you from doing what you set your mind to. You can't choose to ignore something that limits someone else's freedom of choice. For example, a man once wrote to me telling me to fully control his wife and make her do everything he says. But his wife used to be that kind of goose, but she had grown up and left his strong one. That man could breathe, say the word, and hire doctors around the clock. He wasn't ambitious enough, so it would only help him in that way. He could be sweet enough to win a woman's love if he set his mind to it. In his case, it would take a few more lives, but he could get there in the end. He could always succeed if he set his mind to being a great artist, writer, or businessman. Others were smart enough to be in charge of themselves, but he wanted to boss them around. I returned the money and told him I admired his wife's bravery. Slowly breathe in and out. Lots of draft horses and big loads are said to be stronger than one dog running across a bridge. There is no flow to the dog's movements. A man with a fiddle is said to be able to bring down a Brooklyn bridge by playing the note that the bridge is tuned to over and over again. A strong body needs a heart that beats in time. Rhythmic breathing sends rhythm to the brain and heart, and it's fun for everyone. When you regularly and deeply breathe, your body, brain, soul, and spirit all work together in unity. Peace is good for you. Peace gives you power. Have you ever seen 4 men or women breathe evenly and 3 or 4 times, and then lift a big man over their heads with the tips of their fingers on the last breath? It's not possible to do something like that without taking long, even breaths. While you sleep, your body makes energy by breathing in a rhythm. The body gets better, and breathing is even and deep. What does heal from? From the uneven behavior brought on by being awake, the surface brain. Every conscious thought makes the breathing system react. It gasps in shock, freezes in fear, or snorts with joy. It goes back to its normal pace during the long, quiet night. Our lungs are like a child's fingers. They can show beauty, rhythm, and power in an endless number of ways. But just like a child's fingers, our breathing system needs to be trained to work regularly and smartly. Each finger on a child's hand has to learn to do its own work without responding to signals sent to other fingers. Similarly, the respiratory system has to be taught to keep working coolly and evenly, no matter what happens in the brain or outside the body. Practicing regularly can help you reach this goal. The steady work of breathing will keep the body energized and get the heart ready for any journey. He who teaches his body to stay clean, sweet, and working well no matter what will no longer gasp, gurgle, faint, and fall down when he needs to be strong the most. If you are feeling down or tired, your body needs a steady supply of short breaths. Disconnect it from your body and lay it down with your eyes closed. It's okay to breathe in slowly, but not too slowly. As you take a deep breath in, say, "I am" to yourself in your mind while keeping your eyes open. Say it slowly and clearly, and try to understand that infinity is really you in silence. I and the Father are one. For now, keep the chest walls open and the throat free. Then slowly and very gently let out your breath, dropping your eyes while keeping your eyelids closed and always saying softly, slowly, mentally, with range, "Downward love. There is love in me." As slowly as you can, breathe in a regular way. Always breathe fully and easily. Do this until your mind is calm and you have forgotten how sad or down you were. Continue doing this until the awareness of I am moves from the mind to the breath, to the lungs, to the blood, and then to the whole body. Blood travels around the body in about 2 minutes, but it has to do this several times in order to change how you feel. Your whole being needs to pick up the vibrations of that great, peaceful, and strong I am consciousness in order to set up a new regular energy of love awareness. The brain, lungs, heart, and solar center should all beat at the same time. I've found that this is the best way to focus and the only surefire way to become aware of the power moving from the world I am to the world I do. If you really want to get rid of any of these bad habits, I think this is the only cure that will ever work for despair, boredom, lack of interest, impatience, anger, venom, payback, resentment, and the habit of holding. Every time you feel bad, take the dose again. To free you at first, it might take 10 minutes or more. After a while, 5 minutes will be enough. If you stop each little spell as it starts, you will soon stop feeling very bad. Take in the endless I am. It can help your mind and body feel better. Send out love, money, or anything else you want. Do not forget that you do not take what you want. This is how they get to you. Inhale, I am love. God doesn't mind what the issue is. Just practice and solve it. Good things will keep happening to you because of it. Do it over and over until your awareness is in sync with the I am waves, which are the real pulses of your being. You will be healthy, happy, and successful as long as you stay in that awareness. It doesn't matter what breathing methods you use or don't use. No matter where you are or what you're doing, remember to stand up straight and take a few slow, full breaths every time you think about it. That which is there brings life and happiness.